Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, well, it might not even suggest, it might be difficult to glean what we're going for in this video from the title. Long story short, credit where credit is due. What I'm saying here is, when I think some folks have thought I've been a little bit critical of policy thinking the last 6 or 8 weeks on this channel. And I think that's a safe, or I should say maybe an accurate assessment or an accurate description of, kind of how I felt. Now, I've been careful to be clear that I'm not really interested in the blame game. I really think that's just a terrible waste of time. It doesn't get anything done, and it just results in a lot of issues. At the same time, I do think positive reinforcement is a very good thing, in the sense that it just kind of the notion of credit where credit is due. And what am I talking about here? Specifically in a recent article from the Bangkok Post, it's bangkokpost.com, article is titled CCSA to Debate Reopening Plan. Quoting directly, the government's plan to reopen the country before the end of the year is seemingly still on track as Thailand's COVID-19 outbreak is showing signs of slowing down. Quoting further, in light of this, the National Communicable Disease Committee will ask the CCSA to consider reopening some areas of the country in line with the pledge made in June by Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha to do so in 120 days. And then we're quoting directly here, and this is from Opat Khan Kawinpong. We will now have to learn to live with COVID-19 with the knowledge that COVID-19 will be an endemic disease confined to a particular country, Dr. Opa said. So and by confined, I think it meant sort of like it's not contained. It's gotten out in the country and it's running loose, if you will. The reason for this video is when I saw that usage of the term endemic disease, we've been talking about that for some actually months now. It's definitely been at least 8 weeks on this channel about, for example, Singapore started using this terminology saying, look, this is an endemic disease as opposed to quote unquote pandemic disease, insofar as containment measures were being used, but Singapore started talking about, hey, that's probably not going to work now. We need to start shifting our paradigm and looking at dealing with this in a different way, most notably so that we can get, economically, we can get things at least somewhat back on track, with an eye toward getting things fully back on track after we put this thing behind us. Long story short, and the reason for the video, credit where credit is due, it looks like policymakers here in Thailand have started, taking another look at the overall paradigm that they've had, especially the last few months. Again, this is not a blame thing. This is just, it takes, in my opinion, real integrity to self-assess and look at oneself, look at one's policies to determine whether or not they're working, whether or not whether or not they're achieving their goal, and in the case of folks that are working in the government, whether or not they're helping society as a whole. And as we've noted in other videos, there really does need to be a cost-benefit analysis, especially with these lockdowns, which are just devastating to the economy, which we know for a fact they are devastating to the economy. Now, whether or not they have any benefit, I think reasonable people can disagree, and in fact, I think there's a lot of evidence to the contrary of the notion that, or at least argue strongly against, and I won't come out and say I know the answer for sure, but that perhaps this hasn't been the best methodology of dealing with this particular situation. Again, this is not about blame. I've mentioned many times, I love the saying in the film Rising Sun, fix the problem, not the blame, find out what's messed up and fix it. That way nobody gets blamed. And this looks like policymakers here in Thailand are taking an initiative to that end. Let's just figure out how to get through this as best we can and try to deal with this in such a way that is best for Thailand and the Thai economy. And under those circumstances, I definitely think we are seeing, or I should say, under that sort of rubric, that kind of change in mindset, maybe we will start to see things kind of turn around for the better here. And hopefully, as I said, we can put this behind us. We will definitely keep you updated on this channel as the situation evolves.